Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. And today we come to the final part of our 5-part, you could say, prequel series in the series of What If Maruchiya was reincarnated in Konosuba, that being Konosuba, the explosive sage of the wonderful world. What if Jiraiya was in Konosuba? Part 5. Now, with this series being based off of the Megumin spinoff, detailing her early adventures before she would meet with the party that you're all familiar with in the original story, this was just a little something that I wanted to do to kind of show how Jiraiya played into the grand scheme of things and how everyone would come to meet. But now with the story coming to a wrap up, I just want to take the time to say thank you to everyone who has been following along, everyone who's been enjoying this series from the very beginning. I know that this one hasn't been as popular as the Madara series, definitely being included because of the views of the series, but those will probably grow in time, and for anyone that wants to enjoy the series, you can. But all in all, I just want to take the time to, always say thank you when we get to the end of a particular series or a story, because the fact that you guys take the time to watch my stuff is greatly appreciated. And like I always say, I can't do it without you. You make the channel grow. You make the core grow. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into today's final part. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
I'm sick of this! I'm tired of sleeping in the stables! I'm a goddess! Aren't you supposed to be some high-level shinobi or whatever from another world? Well, why don't you use those skills and drum us up some money now, damn it!
If you don't shut the hell up, I'm trying to sleep.
I don't care! I'm supposed to live a better life! I don't deserve this! You're the worst! You know that? You're the...
If you don't shut up, I swear I'm gonna stick a fireball right up your...
You better not! No, stop beating up my king!
Those were the rustling sounds heard off in the distance to Megumin as she tried to sleep in her inn. They were coming from the stables. Sounded like some people were having a rough night of it. That was surely an understatement, to say the least. As Megumin, Yunyun, and Jiraiya had arrived to the city of Axel, finding jobs at the Adventurers Guild was a lot easier said than done. For Jiraiya, he was looking around trying to gain any information that he could about the Devil King. That was his primary focus. Defeat the Devil King. Get back home. That's all he had to do. After all, it was that simple. I mean, the Devil King was said to be strong, but he couldn't be that strong now, could he? Well, other than that, the group found themselves doing odd jobs in and out, helping out different parties with different quests and other things that came their way. Jiraiya definitely took a liking to the host of the guild. He tried to, well, for lack of a better word, riz her up. It went about as well as you could hope it did. I mean, on some levels, Jiraiya had some pretty good charm. But on other levels, well, the city already had enough problems. Between some new adventurers, an archpriest who, well, for a lack of a better term, was kind of stupid. There was the local panty thief who was on the loose. Some boy with brown hair wearing an odd green clothing. Something akin to a tracksuit? What you called it? Well, it matters here nor there. And all the other ins and outs. Axel was one weird place. Of course, out of all three of them, the one who struggled the most was Megumin. Trying to join a party was a lot easier said than done when you were only skilled at one form of magic and refused to learn any others. Yunyun and Jiraiya were finding success in their own right, among them being that there were a lot of toads in this area. Of course, Jiraiya could hunt them down. Now, contrary to popular belief, Jiraiya wasn't against eating the toads. No, Jiraiya only gave consciousness to the toads that he formed a summoning contract with, those who were given voice and speech, And even the toads that could be summoned and could talk would be the first ones to tell you that toads sometimes eat other toads. It wasn't uncommon at all. It was a toad eat toad world. So for Jiraiya, between hunting down toads and other types of adventures at the guild, he was making a pretty good sum of money for himself, and he was at a decent level already. Yun was impressive in her own right, although her confidence was out the window. It had gotten so bad that, well, she wasn't the type of person that could say no in any given situation. Some old guy had been trying to, well, become her sugar daddy, literally asked her to call him daddy, even gave her money, and she turned around and gave him money because, well, he seemed kind of lost and aimless. Yun, however, was struggling, more so in the friends department, not so much in skill. As for Megumin, it was an entirely different story. It didn't matter what party she joined. In the end, they were always looking to try to dump her off, as if they didn't want her around. It didn't take long for her to realize that they didn't really see much of a potential in her. This continued on for about a couple of weeks until eventually she realized she was running out of money, and as such, they were going to have to take on a quest as soon as possible. Of course, that quest, it would be coming to them sooner than they thought, and it came in the form of a monstrous demon, a flying creature named Host. He had arrived to the outskirts of the city of Axel, looking for the one he called Lady Walbach. Of course, while Megumin and Yun needed the extra money and were helping with a low-level hunting party, searching for some low-level monsters to destroy, they would encounter the one known as Host. Host had already had encounters with Crimson Demons, in the form of a smaller one named Komako, one of whom had been oddly kind to him. All the same, coming into contact with both Megumin and Yun, he soon realized that they might have been the Crimson Demons he were looking for based off of all the reports that had been given to him. "You two, you're both Crimson Demons, right?" The two girls would nod. "I've been looking for a Crimson Demon in particular, one that's been carrying around a cat. Lady Walbach is her name." Megumin would take offense to this. Her name was not Lady Walbach. It was Chomosuke. Chomosuke was the name she had given it. She was tired of these demons coming around looking for a Lady Walbach when that wasn't her name. And even if it was, she wasn't this Lady Walbach or whatever. She was her friend, her familiar, her pet. She wasn't going to hand her over for any given reason. Host, however, simply rolled his eyes at this. "I'll make a deal with you. Hand over Lady Walbach, and I don't reduce your city to burning ash and piles of rubble." How are we even supposed to trust you?" Yun would say. "When it comes to us demons, we always keep our side of the bargain. It's you humans that can't be trusted. Anyway, I'm getting tired just standing around here. Return to me, Lady Walbach, or suffer the consequences." Just to make sure that he would not be dissuaded, he was going to follow up on his promise by taking the adventurers that they were with hostage. When the two girls arrived back to the guild, they were surprised to run into Cecily from the city of Archimretia. Apparently, they had received a vision from Zesta, talking about some strange woman. She appeared to be like the goddess Aqua. It was said that she would appear in this town, and that maybe she could be the one that could aid them. So, of course, being a zealous follower of the Aqua set, it was only natural that Cecily would make the journey all the way here. But still, there was a more important problem. And that was dealing with the likes of Host, the demon that had taken adventurers hostage in exchange for getting Chomosuke back. Of course, Yun and Megumin would immediately turn to Jiraiya and ask what to do. So, we're dealing with another one of those demon guys, huh? Ooh, sounds like a walloper. Well, if he's anything like Orange, then we might have a chance to take him down. If he's on the outskirts, then all we've got to do is come up with a plan to get and free the hostages and take down the enemy. This is going to be easy. You sound so confident. Well, of course. It's just shinobi tactics. Nothing to get worked up about. And besides, there's a lot of things I want to check out myself. I want to see just how powerful this guy truly is. So with that, the three would begin their plan. They were more reliant on Jiraiya, to say the least. After all, he seemed to be the most experienced when it came to this type of thing. Jiraiya had to come up with a plan. He would send out a shadow clone to scope the area, to see everything, and to try to figure out what would be the best course of action. They were going to strike under the cover of night, using the darkness as their aid, to hide their movements. At most, Jiraiya could make up to 5 shadow clones, given his current skill level. Of course, with the more adventure points he earned up, he could probably make more in the future. But for now, this is what he would have to work with. In the meantime, Megumin, while waiting for the operation, would be strolling about through town. There was some weird blue-haired lady who was, well, for lack of a better term, getting fired from almost every job she worked at. There was a big-boobed blonde adventurer chick who seemed to enjoy getting hit by monsters more than hitting the monsters. But there was someone else that caught Megumin's attention. A boy dressed in black, carrying with him a sheathed sword. He seemed strange, cold. She couldn't tell why, but she felt a coldness wash over her, the sweat falling from her brow whenever she got so much as a glimpse of him. She couldn't even see his face. She wanted to follow, but she dared not do so. It was just a few times she had seen this person, and yet in those few instances, she felt as though he were aware that she were watching him, as if he had already known that her gaze had been locked upon him, and now he was simply waiting to see what she would do next. It was exhilarating, but at the same time, it was downright frightening. She didn't like it at all. All the same, though, Jiraiya would make the preparations, and the three would move out under the cover of night. The demon known as Host would be waiting near a campfire, when suddenly, Jiraiya, Yun, and Megumin would step forward, carrying with them Chomosuke. So, it seems you've finally come to your senses. Yeah, enough talk, Jiraiya would say. Just free the hostages and you can have the cat. We never want to see your face around here ever again. That would be the deal now, wouldn't it? Host was going to free the hostages, when suddenly he would spin around shooting out a breath of fire at the group, all of them running away at that moment. And just who are you trying to fool? That transformation magic, it might be impressive, but I can see through your disguise. You thought you could pull a fast one on me, eh? And you wonder why we demons can't trust humans. He was able to see through the transformation jutsu? Don't get me wrong, your transformation was absolutely flawless. It's just that my eyes cannot be so easily deceived. Maybe if you were of a higher level, then the potency could be strong. But, from my point of view, all you did was put perfume on a pig, so I can't say that I'm all that impressed. Jiraiya would then reemerge once more. The clones now having been figured out, they would transform back into Jiraiyas, with now a group standing behind him. So, you know a form of clone and transformation magic, huh? You truly are one full of mystery and tricks. But it'll take a lot more than that if you wish to contend with the likes of me. Yeah, I figured as much. Let's see what you're capable of. Jiraiya would pull out 2 kunais as he threw them towards Host. Host blocking and holding them back with ease as he began breathing out more breaths of fire. In the meantime, Yun would follow in from behind, trying her best in a way to restrain Host as best she could. Jiraiya would use the summoning jutsu to summon a few of his toads into battle. Mizubuda, the water toad, and Abura, the oil toad, would emerge. Jiraiya would use a combination attack with Abura, the oil toad, then a combination technique of oil, fire, and water, creating the scorching blaze, attempting to strike at the demon, who was able to fend it off. Seeing as how that wasn't working, Jiraiya would then bring his other toads into the phrase. Tento, the lightning toad, and Kazabuma, the wind toad. With another surge, they would launch a combination of water, wind, and lightning, attempting to use a form of storm release, hoping to do as much damage as possible. And it stunned them to a certain degree, although a few of his clones had been knocked back in the process. Jiraiya waited in the meantime, hoping that it could buy him the time he needed to go into Sage mode, and it had. Yun would attempt to use a paralyzing magic, although she ended up accidentally paralyzing herself, and Host would go in for a fatal strike, only to be punched in the face by Jiraiya. Thankfully, in this world, he could summon nature chakra a lot more easier than he could before. Granted, his Sage mode wasn't potent, and he still had some of the toad characteristics, like the toad feet and a little bit toad hands, but at the same time, it would give him the amplified power that he needed, and this would just have to do. So, you're a master of toads, and you have power to boot. Yeah? The name's Jiraiya. I'm the Toad Sage, and don't you forget it. If you're a demon, then I have to say, what do you know about the Devil King? The Devil King? Yeah, you've got to be working for him, aren't you? Well, tell me, what do you know about him? I don't work for the Devil King. But if you're trying to use this power to gauge where the two of you stand, let me be the first to say, you don't even come close. I should know. It's not like I would expect to beat him myself, even if I tried. Wow, that was definitely one tough hit. You still got me reeling some. In the end, it makes no difference. You and I aren't anywhere close to that level. And you, this is as far as your level goes, because you don't stand a chance against me. Oh yeah? Well, we'll see about that. Jiraiya and Host would continue their hand-to-hand combat. Jiraiya using Frog Komote to battle against Host, moving behind and hitting him with a heavy suplex, managing to wrap around him and hold him tight enough in order to flip him over onto his head. Host, however, would fly into the air, spiking Jiraiya into the ground with a pile driver. The battle and chaos was starting to get disruptive on every which level. For Megumin and Yun, they couldn't believe it. To see Jiraiya fighting on such a level, it was causing Megumin to stir in her resolve. However, Yun was eventually breaking free of her own paralysis magic and was finally going to try once again. Jiraiya holding Host in place this time, getting him in a tough position as Yun would cast a paralyzation on the both of them. Megumin, however, would be a bit worried. This was the opening that they needed, but Jiraiya had gotten hit by paralyzation also. It'll be okay. Just hit it, Megumin. What? What are you talking about? You're still stuck there. Get out of the way. I can't. I got hit with paralyzation too. Oh no, this is bad. It'll be all right. Just hit it.
But what about you? You'll die.
I won't.
But what if you do? What if this is the end? The end of everything? You have friends, family, people you have to get back to. If you die here, it's over. Don't you get that?
For Jiraiya, he hadn't thought of that. Sure, he got this second chance at life, but would there be a third? Could he get a third? Would it even be possible? It was just then that Jiraiya thought about everything he had been through. All the fights, the journeys. Was this his fate in life? To be the perpetual loser? To be the one that could never come out on top? And for Megumin, why was she like this? She should have learned something different. Any other magic could have been useful in this moment. Yun looked over to Megumin. She could see her shaking.
Megumin! Megumin!
It's all my fault. I'm useless.
Megumin, come on! Now's not the time for this!
I'm useless.
I can't do anything. My friend, he understands the risk. Megumin, you're one of the strongest people I know. Sure, you can be crude, you can be mean sometimes, but it doesn't change the fact that we're all friends. We all care about one another. You have to have faith that everything's going to be all right. No one looks down on you or thinks little of you at all. You're one of the strongest people we know. You're the only one that can finish this. Megumin, have faith.
Before they had left for this confrontation, Cecily had given Megumin a blessing. Something that could be a form of protection. Something that could help her in her darkest hour. Megumin found a newfound strength. She wanted to hope beyond hope that everything would turn out all right. As she raised her staff into the air, she would say the words for her explosion. The light rings beginning to shine up above them. Jiraiya's Sage Mode was on the brink of running out as he held on for dear life. Host would look up to the sky as he saw what was about to befall him. He was still caught in the paralyzation, and if it wasn't for that, the boy's grip around him was iron tight. He wasn't going anywhere. As he felt the powerful explosion beginning to conjure above him, he grinned. So, this is what done in Arness. If that's the case, then it's no wonder why she lost. Against the power of this magnitude, we wouldn't have stood a chance. In a flash of light, the explosion would occur. A shockwave rocking over the countryside. As the smoke would clear, within the crater, the only one that remained was Jiraiya. His clothes tattered and torn. He had long since been knocked out of Sage Mode as he lied on his back. Yun and Megumin would rush to his side as best they could. After all, Megumin, the best she could do was slide down the crater into the ground since she couldn't move.
Jiraiya! 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 Jiraiya, please wake up! Jiraiya!
I told you we could do it. Yun would throw her arms around him.
Jiraiya, you're okay!
Come on. Oh. Yep. That timed out just right. Otherwise, that could have been bad. Oh. The three would revel in their victory. It definitely been a tough one to say the least, but they had managed to come out on the other side. Once the battle was over and the demon was defeated, the group would be rewarded for their efforts. Of course, there were still many questions that needed to be asked. For one, this demon had referred to Megumin's sister. It meant that they would have had to have met at some point. What were the demons doing around the Crimson Demon Village? Of course, Megumin wanted to go back and check things out. However, once Jiraiya had healed up enough, he would raise his hand to that. Actually, you don't need to be the one to go back. I'll be the one that goes back. Wait, you want to go back to the village? Well, I won't stop there first necessarily. I'll probably travel around for a bit before I head back, but I can do some investigating. I need to track down and find out more about this Demon King. If I'm gonna defeat him someday, then I can't just stick around here forever. But don't worry, I'm sure we'll see each other again. Yeah, definitely. Yun was also going to be going out on her travels as well. However, not before making her declaration that she would return. After all, they were rivals, and they were going to settle the score. Cecily would also be leaving on as well, as she was going to be going on a journey of her own to gain enough levels so that she could eventually take over the Axel's local church. With everyone setting off on their own adventures and their own journeys, Megumin would stand at the gate wishing them well. As they all had their bags packed, they would say their goodbyes. For Megumin, a sense of loneliness would wash over her. The people she had met along the way, all of the people that she can honestly consider her friends. In the meantime, however, Megumin still had her own issues. With everyone gone, she still had to find a party to join. And yet, despite being a part of the group that defeated the powerful host, no one still wanted her, and in fact, people tried to avoid her like the plague. It was yet another day that she had arrived to the Adventurers Guild. She hadn't eaten in days. She was hungry. She had looked on the board to see if there was anyone looking for a mage. Everyone conveniently took their signs down and were already heading out the door as soon as she came through. But then she saw a sign. Wanted. Advanced mage with powerful skills. 2-party system at the moment. High-level archpriestess. Grumpy warrior swordsman guy. Pay him no mind. Looking for high-powered mages and others to join our party, with a lot of other platitudes and things of that nature. It looked like someone was trying to sell something, but still, she saw them. Sitting off at a table, all the way in the back, a young man eating his food, dressed in black, a sword on his back. Along with him, a woman dressed in blue, with blue hair. She screamed and yelled in annoyancy. However, the young warrior wasn't paying her any mind. Are you listening to me? No one's going to join our party at this rate. Do you always have to be so loud? Do you know what time it is? Come on! You have this lackadaisical attitude. It's not going to get you anywhere. Don't you know that it's 7 in the morning? I mean, come on. Look at me. I'm a goddess. What am I supposed to do? Just waste away in a hovel like this? Don't you know that it's 7 in the morning? I mean, come on. I can't even get proper beauty sleep. I sleep on a pile of hay. Hay's being shoved up my ass 24/7. Don't you know that it's 7 in the morning? All the same, though, Megumin would approach the two. As they both turned, Megumin felt a bit of fear looking into the boy's eyes, but still, he had a nonchalantness to his face. Yeah? What do you want? Megumin took a deep breath as she looked to them with determination. Her crimson eyes glowed brightly as she took her stance. My name is Megumin, master of high-level explosion magic, and I'm looking to join your party. The dark-haired boy would look to her. You really want to do that?
Yes, I do. My name is...
I already got your name.
My name's Aqua, Archpriest. Nice to meet you.
And you? You can call me Madara. This concludes Konosuba, the Explosive Sage of the Wonderful World. What if Jiraiya was in Konosuba? Part 5, the finale. As always, I want to say thank you to everyone who's followed along with this series, and I hope you'll continue as we continue the adventures of Madara, Jiraiya, and all of our other long-forgotten shinobi friends within the world of Konosuba. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue My Hero Academia: The Dark Knight Returns. What if Deku was Batman? Season 2, Part 5. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.